What's good, Washington Commander fans? All right, this your boy LiveWire Sports Media. All right, today's episode, we're gonna dive into a little, um, I guess, draft talk a little bit, knowing that the combine will be. I think the combine starts next week. Um, so knowing that there are certain positions in the combine that us as content creators and media people and along the Washington Commanders, they will be looking for, especially with the need that the Washington Commanders are looking for, namely linebacker, cornerback, more wide receiver help, definitely the quarterback, also offensive tackle. So, but with that being said, the Washington Commanders do hold the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. Now, there are so many speculations about what the Commanders should do with the number 2 pick. There was so much hype on the Caleb Williams situation about the Commanders should trade up to get Caleb Williams at all costs because he's a generational talent. But the Commanders will lose so many picks in the next couple of years, which we've seen them did that with the RG3 situation, moving up to get him. Um, they did stay in place a few years ago at number 2 and drafted Chase Young. But they could have drafted a quarterback at that time and had their franchise quarterback. But this time around, with new general manager, new ownership, new coaching, a deep coaching staff that is, I don't think that jumping to certain conclusions or jumping to being gun ho to draft a certain player like it was in the past when Daniel Snyder was there, or we had had RG3, or we had had Chase Young, or we had to have this person, that person. Now, I was listening to Watch the Commanders Maniacs with Greg last night, and his partner that was on there, I think he does Locked On Washington with Ed Oliver, who also covered the Washington Commanders on his YouTube channel. So shout out to all of them guys. But on the Grey Doom, they dove deep into what I consider of really deep topics, really great topics, very, very good observation of what the commander should do with the number 2 pick. Now, I am a fan of Jaden Daniels. I don't dislike Drake May, but me being an ACC guy and a Miami Hurricane guy, we seen him, seen Sam Howell also, and I know what these guys can do. I'm not saying I haven't watched Caleb Williams because I watched Caleb Williams when he was at Oklahoma when he took over for Spencer Rattler. Also, I didn't know that um, um, that well, I won't say I didn't know that, but most likely that the very detailed stuff that we looking at is that okay, we have to grab a franchise quarterback. What do that entails of grabbing a franchise quarterback? Now, one of my good friends, Herb, he said, "Oh, we should draft Marvin Harrison with number 2 because we need elite talent." Okay, so you grab a wide receiver at number 2, but you don't have a chance to build up. Elite talent could be an offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? Because what the Washington Commanders hasn't had elite offensive tackle since Trent Williams, and then after Brandon Sheriff. So we never had solidified that position since Trent Williams left. We didn't. We struggled. The offensive line has been a mess throughout the last few years under Ron Rivera. We never replaced anybody. We just did patchwork with these guys. Yeah, we had, it may seem, excuse me, it may seem we had a little success here and there, but at the same time, it was just schemes. You know what I'm saying? It's not really bullish offensive line help where we're moving people off the ball, play after play, quarterback getting, having time and everything like that. Now, with that being said, after I listened to them guys last night, it made me dive deeper a little bit more into this. And I feel that the Washington Commanders should evaluate trading the number 2 pick, trading back from the number 2. Because the fact of the matter is that you have 3 quarterbacks right now that could potentially move into that position. Now, some people are going to say, well, they ain't Jaden Daniels, they ain't Drake May, they ain't Caleb Williams. Some say Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the draft. Some say Drake May is the best quarterback in the draft. But are they? Yeah, Caleb Williams has a unique skill set. Granted, you can't deny that. Same thing with Drake May. He has a unique skill set. You can't deny that. Jaden Daniels does. But who says that J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix don't have a specific skill set? Now, the knock on Bo Nix and Michael Penix is, oh, they 24 years old. They too old. Michael Penix, injury history. Okay, there could be a pause for concern with that. I get it. But what can you do? Can the Commanders go out and get a bridge quarterback, bring in a Kirk Cousins, which I'm not agreeing with that logic of bringing Kirk Cousins back because he's going to command so much money? Or you could try to get Jacoby Brissett to stay there, or you could I won't say Russell Wilson because he's going to cost a lot either. I won't want him anyway because he shunned us a few years ago. So my thing is that's a no on him. But a Kirk Cousins return for the right price, yeah, but not for his asking price, no. And plus he's coming off an injury, so that's definitely he's not going to get the money that he's looking for because he's just coming off an injury. And will Kirk Cousins want to be a part of something that's special? Will he want to come and put all into this franchise for 1 or 2 years while we develop the next quarterback? Like I said, you could see if Jacoby Brissett wants to come back for another year and maybe become that starter for the team. Help bridge where you could develop Sam Howell along the way. To maybe trade him off and draft your future quarterback to be behind him so he can have a year sit. Because if you draft Jaden Daniels or Drake May in the first round, you're going to have to start them. There's no doubt about you have to start them. And I don't think that you want to rush to start him because you think about it. Adam Peters, when they move up for Trey Lance still had Jimmy G there. You know what I'm saying? And Trey Lance didn't have to start. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. When they drafted Jordan Love a few years ago, he sat behind Aaron Rodgers. So you will want a quarterback. If you're going to get a quarterback in a free agent that just could bridge for like a 1 or 2 year gap and set your future quarterback back there to develop, then it works out. You got to also understand that the Washington Commanders could stockpile a lot of picks by trading out the number 2 pick and get more picks and be able to trade back into the first round and have like 2 future number 1s in the process for next year and the year after that. And then they could still have their first round pick along the way next year too. And they could do a lot of things with that number 1 pick, especially who they trade with and how they perform next year, this year coming up. And that pick could be valuable because they could use it as a trade pick to get more picks next year in the 25 draft and be able to build this team on top, and still have your franchise quarterback along the way. If you go and you use the number 2 pick now, then you can be like, okay, we got to start this guy. So my thing is this here. I'm thinking that the Washington Commanders could trade out that number 2 pick. And I think it could be with I have to look. I think it could be with Atlanta because Atlanta wants a quarterback. They really wants a quarterback. They could trade out with Atlanta. Then they could get Atlanta's second round pick. And then they could use that day top pick to trade back into the first round and, to say that they could get be able to get that quarterback. They could get an offensive lineman in the first round and trade back to get the quarterback. Now, There's a lot of people that are saying that, hey, J.J. McCarthy to the Commanders. That's a lot of talk about that. Some people think Michael Penix, but I think that the Raiders want Michael Penix. So I don't think he'll be there. Some say Bo Nix will be a good option. To me, I have watched all of these quarterbacks play this past season in college. Bo Nix could throw the ball. He could run out the pocket. J.J. McCarthy, he might be small like Jaden Daniels a little bit, but he's efficient. He has that. To me, I think J.J. McCarthy has that Tom Brady mentality. And you got coached by one of the best college coaches in the nation that's in right now in the NFL, in Jim Harbaugh. So, and Jim Harbaugh knows how to utilize quarterbacks, which he's a former quarterback himself. So, with J.J. McCarthy fits Cliff Kingsbury's system. Now you have Anthony Lynn over there as the system coordinator, passing game coordinator, or run coordinator, whatever the case it may be. You're gonna have to have a pass run balanced team, not just so much passing. So that's where you really need a quarterback that's going to be very, very efficient. You know what I'm saying? Understanding what is need to be done. You don't want to be sitting back throwing the ball all over the field, because then defense is going to blitz every time. You're not going to have a chance to go through your progressions, and you're not going to be able to hit your receivers by just sitting down and passing. You're going to have a well-balanced game. I like the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey and the way they balanced everything out. Also, you can look at how the Detroit Lions run their system. You can look at Buffalo, how they run theirs. You could look at a lot of these teams, how they use the run to set up the pass a lot more. I think Bo Nix will be an exceptional pick if we decide to trade down. And I also think J.J. McCarthy could do it. You just need a quarterback that's going to be there where these guys could develop a year behind, because you're going to want to build for the future. You don't want to have instant success. If the Commanders won 8 or 9 games next year or 10 games, that's success. But guess what? You still put yourself in a position further down the line to build on your team, to actually make sure your team is set up for success down the line. You don't want to go. You want to. If you go all in, then you really got to start that guy and everything like that. Now, I did videos about, what if they was to trade for Justin Fields and draft Marvin Harrison. That's not a bad idea either. I think that would be the second option to me. The first option would be trading out the number 2 pick. The second option would be trading for Justin Fields and drafting Marvin Harrison. And you still got your picks. You still got more picks to work with. The third option is go in and draft your future quarterback at number 2. That'd be my third option. So I kind of like weighed everything out and kind of categorize each the way I would do things, because I'm looking more towards the future than the right now. And if Adam Peters is anything that we think he is, how he was with New England, Denver, and the 49ers, there's a strong chance that the Commanders will trade out the number 2 pick to build draft capital for the future and utilize some of that cap space that they have right now. Potentially, they could be able to cut Logan Thomas, probably Charles Leno, somebody else to have over $100 million in cap. Right now, they should projected to got 81 right now because of the new cap went up to 255. So if they utilize that and get some of the pieces out of free agency and the draft to build on and continue to have more draft picks going into the future, then I think it makes more clear sense to trade out the number 2 pick. Now, like I said, I categorize everything. Some people say, well, I don't want Justin Fields. Okay, well, guess what? Justin Fields, you're going to have to pay Justin Fields. You have to pick up his option and see if he's going to will improve himself. Now, Atlanta could come in and say, well, hey, Chicago, I want Justin Fields. They could trade for him, but they'll have to give up a lot of capital for him. So that's a lot of things. Now, if Atlanta really wants that franchise quarterback, I think, to me, and you also look, the Giants is up there. I think the Giants sits at number 6 so far. I'm not. I think they sit at number 6 so far. So that's something that that's something to kind of like look at. All right, so the Chargers at number 5. They ain't gonna. The Giants gonna need a quarterback. Tennessee might need a quarterback. You can make a trade with Tennessee. Atlanta and Tennessee, you can make a trade with them and say, hey, okay, y'all want a quarterback? Or you could easily tell the Giants, say, hey, who do you want? All right, give me your number 6 pick. Then you look at it like this. They pick what, 6 in the second round? So you still got their second round pick also, and you probably got their future first round pick. Same thing with Tennessee and of the Falcons. Then you think about it. The Giants get the number 2 pick. They can either pick Drake May. Then, because New England probably wants Drake May. So you can make a move with New England also to move up one spot. Then New England gives you your pick. You still could pick your offensive lineman. Then you have your number 2 pick for New England. That's only 2 picks away. Then you can move back up into the first round with one of your second round picks. Then you could pick your quarterback. When I look at everything right here, I'm gonna go to mock draft real quick because I want to see where these quarterbacks are landing at this time. So you gotta think that the Steelers looking for a quarterback also. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much movement is going to be made in the next few months. So they got New England picking Marvin Harrison. They got the Chargers with Joe Holt. They got the Giants picking Daniels. You got the Tennessee. You got Atlanta. Got JJ McCarthy on the board. So just say, for instance, if Atlanta want to move it, they got Washington picking Drake May. Okay, Jaden Daniels and Drake May and JJ McCarthy are the 4 quarterbacks that most likely go in the first round. Then you move all down the draft board, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. You don't see no Bo Nix. You don't see anybody down there. So Bo Nix, and for what I'm looking at, Bo Nix and what's the guy named Michael Penix could be a second round pick. And that because you gotta honestly look at the board too. This is a deep wide receiver class. And I said this before, Marvin Harrison isn't the only wide receiver that we could get also. Because if you think about it, if you got 3 second round picks by trading that number 2 pick down and getting your offensive lineman, able to trade back up into the first round to get a quarterback, then use your next 2 second round picks to solidify the wide receiver, the linebacker position. Hell, you could get another offensive lineman with them 2 picks and dress the wide receiver situation through the rest of the rounds and be done with it. There's so many different ways that you could do this. But will they do that? Don't know. I mean, all of this is just guessing games right now. This is all just playing devil's advocate with all of this situation. Like I said, some people want the Commanders to go trade, especially the media. They want them to just trade it, throw away do everything they can to get Caleb Williams. I won't do that. If Caleb Williams was projected to be the number 2 pick, then yeah, okay, draft him. But Jaden Daniels and Drake May at number 2, like I said, I would take Jaden Daniels over Drake May. But you got to also look at it too. They both good quarterbacks, but Washington needs a tight end. Washington needs an offensive line. Because you could draft one of those quarterbacks and still don't have a great offensive line. Yeah, you could look in free agency, but at the same time, you got to understand that this team has to be built the right way. It has to be built inside out. It can't be from outside in. And I don't think Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, and all of them is going to go all in on a quarterback and then still have other holes. And like, Greg almost said on the Maniacs, this team has a lot of holes that need to be filled. And can you fill it up in one draft? No, you can't. So the smart thing is to do is gain more draft capital. If you look at what the Chicago Bears did last year with Carolina, they still got the number one pick. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, you look at it, Washington could either have the number one pick next year because if they trade with the Falcons or Tennessee and these teams don't perform well and they lose games, Washington could easily be back in the top 5 drafting again for next year. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take on it right there. I just think that the Commanders have a lot of options on the board. I do think J.J. McCartney or Bo Nix or Michael Penix could be a valuable, but I think JJ or Bo Nix could be a vital second option, like a tier 2 option for the Commanders if they don't get their tier 1 guy that they need. Because I do think offensive lineman is a must, and they're gonna have to do everything they can to get an offensive lineman. Because the Chargers pick 6, and I think they're going to get Joe Alt. They're gonna get him. And if Washington decides to try to trade back with their number 2 pick to get in the draft to get their quarterback and draft their offensive lineman at number 2, then I won't be mad at that either, because that's another option that they could do. Just pick number 2 and get the offensive lineman that they need. Take one of their picks and trade back into the first round and try to get that quarterback. Or just wait out the first round, and then if that quarterback lands in the second round, you have your quarterback right there, and you don't have to worry about it. So there's so many things to do. I won't be mad if Washington gets offensive tackle. I just won't be mad at it because that's the position that we need the most. You still got Sam Howell there also. So you could build around Sam Howell for one more year and still draft your quarterback for the future and let Sam Howell run one more year because he already has that 1 year experience. You never know. So that's like I said, there are so many different options that the Washington Commanders could do. This is probably the best good situation that this team has ever been in years, because you could go any way and still not be wrong. You know what I'm saying? But fans going to be antsy. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be like, oh, we get this. We should have did this. We should have did that. But we not in the office. We not in the headquarters. We not sitting there in these meetings with these guys and knowing what they think and who they think. Like I said, don't be surprised that Sam Howell starts next year and we build this offensive lineup around him and see what he could really do. Who knows what he could do? You know what I'm saying? You got to think. Drake May and Sam Howell was there with Lingo in North Carolina. Cliff has connections with them. So they probably said, well, hey, you know what? The kid never got a really good shot because he was thrown in the fire and all of this stuff. Let's build his confidence up. Let's go out there. He's capable of winning games, but we got to protect him a little bit more. There's so many different things. You saw it with over there in San Francisco. They did the same thing. Jimmy G was there, but then they had Trey Lance. Trey Lance just never developed because he got hurt. That's what put Trey Lance curve so far behind. I think if Trey Lance didn't get hurt and he was able to be on par the way he need to, I think Trey Lance would have still been in San Francisco. And it wouldn't have made Adam Peters look bad, because that's what they holding over Adam Peters or the Trey Lance situation. Well, Trey Lance got hurt, so what can you do? You have to go out and get a quarterback. But like I said, you let me know what you think. Should the Commanders trade out the number 2 pick? Should they pick a tier 2 quarterback and Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, or Michael Penix to solidify that quarterback of the future and have one of them quarterbacks wait a year and utilize and build this offensive line up the right way, build the defense up the right way? I think so. But hey, I'm just your content creator, bringing good information to you. You can run with it the way you want to. It's okay. But like I say, the Washington Commanders are in a great spot right now, and you can't go wrong in in either way. So, so this episode is brought to you by Bet US Online, the number one online betting tool for all your betting needs. You could bet your over and unders, you could bet your parlays, you could bet either from basketball, football, hockey, racing, horse racing, anything that you need. Bet US Online is your number one sporting book. And it's brought to you by LiveWire Sports Media. Until then, I'm over and out. Enjoy your Saturday. I'll probably bring another video to you later. There are some signings that the Commanders have done. So I will bring that in a separate video. But until then, LiveWire out.